Welcome back. We've just read a pair of very important and reviewing documents, a journal and a letter. Let's start off with the letter first. Seems like things have really gotten interesting around here. Unfortunately, our hope has not been realized. Catherine is not with the rebels on this age. Unfortunately, she is in prison. We had been wondering about that, but now we know it's true. This means that the woman that we saw from Gehn's survey room on Pluto Island probably was Catherine, and we can imagine that Gehn would want to keep a close eye on her. Also, we now know that the woman who just visited us now is named Neela. Most importantly, Catherine knows that we've been sent here by Atris to trap Gehn and rescue her, and she knows that our prison book is a trap. She tells us where to find the combination for her prison in Gehn's office, although she must be referring to a different office than the one on Crater Island, and that she also knows how to signal Atris. Well, great! If we can find Catherine, it appears that she will be able to help us out a lot. Unfortunately, she has been captured by Gehn, and so she's definitely not on this age. So now we know why Neela was so desperate when she delivered the books. She wants us to free Catherine. And we do too. Also, we now know that the journal that we just read belongs to Catherine, and it is describing what happened to her after she was tricked into returning to Riven. I'll take a few minutes to recount what was described in the journal for those of you who don't want to watch the videos of me reading. It may take a few minutes, but I want to make sure I get all this information out. At the beginning of the journal, we learn that Catherine was found by the moiety and taken back with them. She has learned a lot about their beliefs and history, which she explains in the journal. Apparently, Catherine and Atris had a confrontation with Gehn at the fissure, and this is the event in which Gehn became trapped on Riven. The origins of the moiety began when many of the Rivenese saw this confrontation, and two of them actually witnessed Catherine linking to Mist and Atris falling into the fissure, an act which definitively trapped Gehn on Riven and sent the Mist book to Earth where we would find it, of course. Because of this, the Rivenese could tell that Gehn had been proven a weak imposter, not the god that he would have them believe. In the years following, when Catherine has been gone, their beliefs had evolved to the point that they now believe Atris to be a true god, and that Catherine, as his wife, is becoming a god, and will rule Riven forever. Catherine has had a hard time dealing with the fact that she is believed to be a goddess, as you can probably imagine, and in turn the moiety have had a hard time knowing how to interact with her. In the next few entries we learn a little bit more about the culture of the moiety. They have totally separated themselves from the other villagers and had lived in a complex cave network underground. Obviously that was written before the moiety had access to this age. Catherine also describes the moiety's small efforts to hurt Gehn and scare the other villagers, as well as the elaborate costumes and masks they wore when they went on these raids. Sadly, Catherine also realizes that she had been tricked here by her sons, Cirrus and Agonar, but she's grateful that Atris is not here because he would also be in danger from Gehn. Atris' family is truly a sad story, isn't it? Well, in the following entry, Catherine describes her first visit to the surface of Riven, and her shock upon finding it totally different from what it was when she lived here in the past. According to her, Riven used to be one giant island, but since then it has split up and broken up into 5 islands that are smaller, so that's why all the island shapes fit together to form one large square on Plateau Island. She also writes that Gehn has claimed all but Jungle Island for his personal property, which is why Jungle Island is the only one where we have found Rivenese natives so far. She also explains a little bit more about the mysterious 5th island, which has moved very far away from the others, and little is known about it except that it is where the Great Tree was, wherever that is. She says that the reason for the age's decay is because Gehn wrote it, and all of his ages eventually decay. A few entries later, Catherine expresses her surprise when she finds out that Gehn is making books, although he still hasn't gotten them to work yet at this point. He is using all of Riven's people and resources to try to escape and pursue his godlike dreams of restoring Dunny, which of course we had already suspected, but it's good to have this confirmed. Following this, the next entry contains lots of information about the Star Fissure, as Catherine has found its location on Riven. Apparently it's on the island called Alapo, which doesn't help us much, but she then goes on to describe how Gehn has covered it with heavy iron and placed a telescope over it. As it turns out, this telescope is the one on Temple Island, and it's on top of the Star Fissure. Catherine feels that it is good that it has been sealed, and that opening it now would be catastrophic to Riven due to its decay. She also relates a story that Gehn had apparently tried to determine where the fissure led by throwing people into it, but he was unable to learn anything. Of course, we know where it leads, to Earth, since that's where the Mist Book fell into the fissure and where we ended up finding it. Catherine also recalls Atris's observations on the fissure, that it has a very safe, life-sustaining atmosphere. However, the origin of the fissure is a mystery to her, and she and Atris have come to accept that it was created by the will of the Maker. After that, Catherine describes the reverence with which the moiety treat their symbol, the daggers that appeared on Riven when Catherine wrote them in. She also describes how Gehn exploits their belief in the power of symbols, and how they're afraid of Gen's symbol and of the wark. The next entry reveals Catherine's shock when she discovers that Gehn has created a working linking book. She describes how he built the spinning domes to correct the flaws in his books and the enormous amounts of power they require. She also explains that apparently he had made this breakthrough some time ago, but he had kept it so secret that the moiety have only just found out now. She also tells how the moiety were able to steal a partially burned book that Gehn had started writing and then discarded. In the next entries, Catherine begins her plans to write a new age for the moiety from the stolen book. She explains how if they can get access to one of the domes, they can use it to power this book. A couple of entries later, Catherine lists what has happened since her last one. They have stolen yet another linking book, allowing Catherine to return to Riven after she links to the New Age. However, she is worried that Gehn will miss the book. They have also found out the combination to open the domes, but they don't know how they're powered. Catherine realizes that they're going to have to find another way to get the books to work, since they'd only be able to link using the domes once and for a short amount of time. Because of this, she plans to write a substance into the moiety age that will correct this problem. The next entry explains her plans. They will wait for Gehn to power and use the domes, then use the domes to power the moiety age book just once. Catherine will link there, and apparently she has written a substance into the age that stabilizes Gen's books. This must be the crystal that we read about in Gen's journal earlier in his lab, and which was placed on top of the linking book to this age. Catherine planned to return with several of these crystals so that they won't have to use the domes anymore. The final entry of the journal proclaims the plan a success. All of the moiety have transferred to the New Age, the one we're on right now, which they have named Tay. They're free, happy, and finally have peace. Catherine planned to return to Riven to see Gen's reaction to all this, but the journal ended there. So that must have been when she was captured and imprisoned by Gehn. Well, this has certainly been a very informative and revealing journal, to say the least. Through this, Catherine has been able to teach us much about Riven's history and current condition, as well as the history of the moiety. So now let's see what happens next. It's Neela.
Sira po. Ibuko mo buko wisipo. Na vene. Tapo mo revene beno. Now, Katerine ne. Wisifa polo yai sepe yai.
We could hear something once again that sounded like Catherine's name right there. It sounds like she truly is concerned about Catherine, and that's good to see, but we need to act on that concern and deliver Catherine back here, hopefully. She also placed a book on this table, and it looks like it links directly to Riven back to the stone room. It also appears to be another one of these crystal things, so let's use it and return back to Jungle Island. Now, one thing that was rather interesting about the moiety age is that the hive structure that we were in was located in the center of a crater lake. I've got to wonder whether Gehn was really interested in crater lakes, because there's one here on Jungle Island and another one on Crater Island, of course. And we know that Tay was written from one of Gehn's partially burned books, so maybe he just really likes crater lakes a lot. Well, what do we do now? Well, let's review our objectives first. Let's think back to when we first started. Our objectives were to trap Gehn, free Catherine, and then signal Atris. Well, we couldn't really do any of those because we had had our books stolen from us, but now we've got that back, so we can proceed with these three objectives. So let's focus on getting to Gehn first, because I don't think freeing Catherine will be a very good idea until we know that Gehn is not at large anymore. We know that the domes lead to his age, right? And we also know that they're not powered. However, we know that the power source is the Great Golden Dome on Temple Island, and based on what we've learned from Pluto Island, we've got all the information we need to put the marbles in their proper spots on the second floor of the dome. So I think it's high time that we return back to Temple Island and went back there. Unfortunately, we can't go back down through the work gallows, so we're going to have to find another way out. We haven't explored this path yet though, so let's see where this goes. Oh, here we go. Whoa. I guess if you went and discovered the stone room earlier, if you were able to find the work idle switch and go up to the second floor and close the platform here, but you didn't know the combination to the stone room, you could come down this way and make a quick return later on. Well, I think we've done all we can do here on Jungle Island. We've seen all there is to see. So now it's time to focus our efforts on getting to Ghehn's age. Except, why am I going in there? That's silly. We need to go back to the tram that leads to Temple Island. And we don't need to press the call button because it should be here still. There's our good old frog buddy here. Well, if I recall correctly, this particular tram was quite a bumpy ride, so let's see how it is on the way back. Yup, still bumpy. Hey, wait a second, the temple door is closed. Okay. Aha, it's Gehn. Is he up in that projection room? Let's see. Run, 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 run. Okay, are you up here, you snake? And he's not. Maybe he just ran away really quickly, or maybe that's just a recording that plays. But that doesn't explain why the door was closed. Either way, at this point, I'd be willing to bet that he probably knows we're here. So at this point, the rotating room is now at positions 2 and 5. Or the gate room, I should say. So one more press should return it back to the original position where we can get to the dome. There we go. Alright, time to solve the infamous marble puzzle. Except we still got this thing closed from earlier, so let's raise it back up. There we go. Okay, earlier we put the marbles randomly all over the place, but that didn't do any good, so let's put them back. Alright, let's review what we know so far. We know that Temple Island's dome is green, and it goes in this square right here, and it goes in this position. Jungle Island's dome had the red color associated with it, the one they called the warp. It was in this square right here, and it goes in this spot. Then we get to Crater Island, whose dome was underground, but we were able to determine where that was based on its position with the hole on the side of the mountain that let all the light in. So we know it's in this square, and it's in this spot, and the only color that wasn't accounted for among all those lights was purple, so that's got to be this one. And then finally, we've got Pluto Island. We know that that color is orange, and it goes in this position right here. So we don't really know exactly what color is the one that is associated with the fifth island's dome, but we do know that it's in this spot right here. Well, it's either yellow or blue, so it's a 50-50 shot. Let's go with yellow. Well, now for the moment of truth. And nothing happened. Well, there's one other choice for that fifth island's color, so let's go ahead and try that. If this doesn't work, however, I don't know what to do. I guess Gehn didn't really consider yellow to be important in his 5-color symbology, despite the fact that this whole dome is yellow. Well, here we go. Oh man, that felt good. We have finally solved the marble puzzle. And now we can hear some power humming through here, which is pretty awesome. Well, no time to waste. Let's go ahead and head back to the dome for this island and see what we can find. Okay, that's 2 and 4. And 2 more presses should give us the configuration we need, which is 1 and 4. And there we go. Of course, we closed the dome earlier, so we'll have to open it again, but that shouldn't take too long. And at this point, there's really not much else to say. We don't really know what we're going to see when we get to Gehn's age, but I'm preparing myself for anything at this point. Come on. Oh, confound it. There we go. And here we are. We're about to go to Gehn's age. But we'll enter the code to do so in the next video.